Hey, Selena.
Hello.
Oh,
And I actually see the little has a little thing in the corner.
the recording.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
I haven't
So
ever.
you can record it right on here.
Yeah, I haven't ever done it before, but it says record, and then you know, at the end it says stop recording. So I don't know. We'll see how it works. Okay, so you read chapter one already, right?
Yeah, and I didn't get to read all of chapter 2, but I'm almost
Gotcha. What um, what really stuck out to you in chapter one?
done. Well, one thing that kind of kicked me in the pants is obviously the story of her being in the grocery store, because especially when the kids are having a good day, it's easy to be like, "Holy cow." At least
Yep.
take your kid outside, or something silly like that. So that was like, and I can totally see my son doing that, because he always like, just say that situation happened to me, he would, even at almost 2 years, well, he'll be 2 next month, but even at almost 2 years old, he if he knew, he would laugh, or he would say pu, he would totally rat me out.
Then
So
everybody around is like, we already know the shit.
yeah, and at that point, not even like I mean, at that point, it's not even like you can blame it on him and say it was him.
Right. When they're babies, you can kind of be like, "Ooh, did you toot?" Even if it's you, you can like play it off. "Ooh, baby, you
Be
toot."
like, "Ooh, what did I feed you for lunch?"
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Well, I am just going to kind of start
But
and go
I
through.
thought, I mean,
I think we're talking on top of each other.
sorry, go ahead.
I'm just kind of got to start and go through some of what I made notes on, and you just join
Hmm.
in when there's something you want to add to it, or if there's something you have a question about or want to talk about with somebody or whatever. You know what I mean? I'll kind of get us going.
Yeah,
Okay. Um,
okie doke.
the first thing that I had marked in here was when she said, "God," whoops, sorry, that was an alarm. Um, when she says, "God, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? I mean, don't you have something really important for me that requires a little more skill than tying shoes and cutting the crust off sandwiches?" And I have found myself there before. In fact, like maybe last week or two, about a week or two ago, I was like, well, okay, I know what started it. Sadie being sick and me starting an IV on Sadie. It made me think
Hmm.
nursing school. And I was like, am I ever going to be a nurse? Finish it and go work as a nurse. Um, or is my schooling all it's going to come down to is just me starting an IV on a dog and knowing stuff if my kids are sick? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like what, when someone says, well, what does Cassy do? So I started feeling like I was insignificant.
Hmm.
And my husband was quick to say that I do the most important job in the world, which is take care of them. And I don't know, I could, that resonated with me because I felt that way at different times. Have
My
you?
husband tells me that too, when I kind of feel like, especially like if we're having a little bit of a harder time financially, and I feel like I need to be, that I could be doing something either on the side, or even if it wouldn't be a big deal for my mother-in-law to watch them a day or two a week, so I can help him out, so it's not just all on him, and so we don't have to be stressed out about finances and things like that.
Mhm.
And then he always tells me, he's like, I'm doing what I can to provide for the family, and that's not your job to worry about that part. Your job right now is to worry about taking care of our kids and raising them, because you being at home with them is where I want you to be and where you've said you want to be.
Yep.
So, you know, it kind of has to remind me that, like, you know, that's even where, I mean, when we're not having times when we're struggling and things like that, that's realistically where I want to be, you
Right.
know?
Absolutely. That's kind of something that that Brian and I kind of discuss here and there in the same ways, like when money is super tight, like with Sadie's vet bills and stuff. You know, you're talking about being out like 400 extra bucks in a week's time, and that's like hard for us months, you know, to be out 400 extra dollars. On top of it, we had to get Sarah we had to rent a prom dress for her. So it's just been a lot of stuff. And so I was like, you know, I think maybe I need to go back to work and, you know, just for a time maybe, and till things are, you know, where they're supposed to, you know, where they need to be. So we're not stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I mention it, he's insistent that no. And he says, you know, it's, you take care of us. You know, that's what you do is important and it matters. And the thing he has said that I totally get is, he said, if you go back to work, all that will happen is we will start to live within the means of what we both make. So you'll never come. Huh?
Yeah. I said that's a good point.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. I'm just talking about a temporary back to work where we got to get on our feet a little better, get past some of this, you know, extra bills we've got right now. But as soon as he did that, and I realized the reality of that, I don't want to go back to work. And it isn't because I don't want to work. I promise you, I work way harder at home than I have ever in any job. You know, and way more hours of it. And, you know, it's never ending. And it's, plus, Brian has said, who's going to do what you do at home when you're off working? You know? So there's that, but then there's also my daughter, Hannah, has learning deficits, and I homeschool her. So she can't really go back to public school. I mean, it would be detrimental for her to go to school. So I know there's that too. I guess sometimes maybe it's just that we want to feel validated, or for me, I think sometimes I want to be reassured that this is what Brian wants also, and that he's not ever thinking, you know, hey, you need to go get a job and help out, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
I think that probably every mama that stays home faces that at some point.
Well, the other part of it is too, I think, is that obviously society has a play on that too. The whole woman should be career driven too. Why should they just be stay at home moms?
Right.
So that also, I feel, fuel the doubt that I'm just a stay at home mom. That's all I'm doing with my life is being a stay at home mom. You know, I mean, I graduated high school, got married a few months later. I didn't go to school, I didn't go to school. I didn't get a degree, anything like that. And I mean, I've worked in a few different places like Dunkin' Donuts and a yogurt shop and things like that.
Right.
And, you know, I did really well in school. The school was just something, I was one of those people that school kind of came easily to. I did very well in school. So, you know, when people...
That's the same for me. So I could be lazy because I could get through and I could make A's and not have to study. If I would have had to study, my grades probably wouldn't have been A's. Because I wouldn't want...
Yeah, exactly. But then, you know, then knowing that, and the people who knew you then too, knowing that, you know, you did well in school and stuff, and then you're like, I didn't go to school, I didn't do anything with my life,
and they think you're wasting your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
well, you're just at home with your kids all the time. Oh, it must be a breeze, people think.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know. I think that I honestly think that part of the reason that being a stay-at-home mom or a homemaker, children or not, isn't respected anymore. Like if you look back, like during my grandmother's generation,
Hmm.
that's what all the women basically did, and it was highly
Yeah, there's
respected.
no question about it.
But nowadays, I think that part of the problem is that there are some women who stay home and sit on their honeys and do nothing. They don't clean, they don't cook, they don't take care of kids. Maybe they don't even have kids, and they're just looking for their husband to give them the next amount of money so they can go shopping. So the laziness that is sometimes found in that way, I think also is why people don't respect being a stay-at-home mom or homemaker anymore, because it's gotten that kind of a stigma.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, even people who maybe have an idea like, oh, you have to clean a house, you have to make a couple of meals a day. I mean, what's the big deal? Even some people know what being a homemaker can entail and just think it's really not that big of an idea and that big of a deal. It's like, if you think about it, practically full-time shifts. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm cooking about 10 times a day for my kids.
Is your what? It cut out.
I said, I don't know about you, but I'm cooking about 10 times a day for my kids. Between
Short order cook.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, snacks for everybody. So, we have to cook everything for everybody. We have to clean an entire house and clean after everybody else that's in the house. And you have dogs, so that's like extra sheet washing for me at least.
Oh, yeah, same here, and all their fuzzy blankets.
Right? And and you're supposed to be taking care of two humans at the same time.
Yeah, and not just meeting their needs as far as clean clothes and food and all that, but shaping who they are as people.
Spending the time with them to teach them, spending time with them to just spend time with them and just play with them to cultivate like that part of your relationship. And I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it than what people think. They think they have an idea and they don't. There's like many spectrums.
And it's really not something that you can put into words for someone, because like if I were to say what I do, like if I said what I did today and I listed off, it wouldn't seem like it would have took that long. But there's constant where you have to stop and tend to something else. You're working on this and you have to stop and go do this. There's so many like interruptions throughout the day that everything takes longer. And I think that this book has helped me. I read it many years ago the first time. And I can tell you this book hands down changed me as a mother. And so this is why this is my third or fourth time to read it. And my sisters have read it. We've all read it. But one of the ways it's helped me and changed me is that when I would be, say, in the middle of doing dishes and the kids come in there and they're like, blah, 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 or I need this, I need that. I would feel like, oh, I'm never going to get the dishes done because everybody keeps interrupting me. I just want to get this done. So I get to see them as like interruptions all the time. And this book helped me to see that actually that's the important part. Whatever thing I'm doing, whether it's dishes or, writing out bills or whatever it is, that's the insignificant part. The interruptions, that's the important part. Where we make a significant difference is that part. So it helped me to get my perspective right.
Yeah, that's, like I said, I only started chapter 1 and almost done with chapter 2, but yeah, no, that's definitely That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because I did that today when I was doing the dishes yesterday.
Okay, but let me tell you something. Cellina, I always remind myself that when I feel bad about, like you're saying right now, you did that with doing the dishes and whatnot, but it bothers you and you feel bad about it. That's what makes a difference in moms who really, really love their kids and do everything they can to be the best mom. When there's things like that, it checks our spirit, and we're upset or disappointed that we did it that way. So then we fix it. But it's when we don't care and we don't even realize what we're doing, it's lost on us then.
Yeah. And oh boy.
I also was looking where she says, yes, my greatest accomplishment today was nurturing the two precious children that God has entrusted to my care. And then she says, let's talk about my greatest challenge today and every day. It is raising these two precious children in the ways of the Lord. God does have an important job for me, and it does require much skill. It is my calling, my priority, my struggle, and my goal. That's kind of sums up what we were just saying.
Mm-hmm. And I obviously would help if I had the paper copy of the book to remember all of that, but I think I put in the discussion earlier that, I like that she did that, though, that even in that day, she spent most of the day just, being down about herself, being down about her job as a mom, and what the heck is she doing home, basically. But still, at the end of the day, we need to remind ourselves how important our job is, and
Absolutely.
that, we're doing what God calls us to do to train up our children. And that will help a ton in having the right attitude too, instead of for example, when I was doing the dishes yesterday and my son wanted, I don't even remember what he wanted, but he just came over and he just wanted me to pick him up and everything, and I'm like, it's, and then you get aggravated because you're like, oh, I need to get these dishes, you want to get the dishes done by the time that your husband comes home or whatever, so the house looks decent. But then it's like, say if I was to tell my husband later on, like, oh, I didn't finish the dishes because Keeson just wanted me to sit down and spend some time with him. Would you rather hear that, or would you rather hear, oh, I didn't spend any time with the kids today, but your house is spotless?
Yeah.
So that, sorry, go ahead.
What did he say?
Oh, well, I do what you have to do.
Yeah.
He wanted you, and if that's what he wanted, then, it's like do what I have to do for the kids.
Right. And it's finding that balance, because I know that kids could get in a habit. Say you stop doing the dishes to hold him. Then you're going to every day when you start doing dishes, come and say, hold me, and expect you to, and not ever do the dishes. So there's balance, and that balance is what's hard, And
yeah. Well, as of right now, anyways, that's not something that he typically does. So if he does that, then I totally get what you're saying, though. If it starts becoming a habit, he just doesn't want me to wash the dishes for whatever reason, then that's different.
Yeah, and I think especially if it's out of the norm, then there is an underlying reason as why he is. Maybe he's overtired, and that's why he's wanting you, or there's a reason.
Yeah. Well, that too, and exactly what she said, that she went all day thinking of the negative things, and then when you turn them and think them positively, then you're not gonna act towards your kids or make them feel like they're bothering you from what's most important.
Right.
And they're not gonna be like, I mean, this may be extreme or whatever, and I know my kids are young, so maybe they're not totally thinking this, but it's like, then what if they were a little bit older and understand that I'm putting dishes ahead of whatever my son's need is right now?
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, they get to a point where they're going to understand that, or they're going to feel like they're insignificant to dishes. Now, it's just, obviously, it's just an example. I mean, but, it helps change the attitude, too, when you think about that, when you think about really, like, that we're supposed to be nurturing our kids and taking care of them and things instead of, like you said, looking at them like they're the ones that are distracting us.
Right. Just little interruptions. My granny sent me a poem. This was years ago. Like, my oldest daughter then was like 3. So this was literally like 21, 22 years ago. She sent me this poem, and I don't know, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but I think it's something like Babies Don't Keep. And it is talking about the dishes will still be there. The laundry will still be there, but babies don't keep, meaning they won't stay baby.
Mm-hmm.
This is what matters. Granny, she sent me that, but she also wrote a letter with it. And that's why it really touched me, because she said with having 6 children, she stayed so busy all the time with just trying to keep up with meals and clean clothing and getting the dishes washed and the house straight, and that she never took the time to enjoy her children, and that she wanted me to not follow in her footsteps and do the same. So that was pretty.
Talk about hitting the heartstrings, Granny.
I know, right? Thank you for that. And it was like, I kept it, and she passed away a year later, and I kept it, but 23 years later, it's still stuck in my mind, and I haven't seen that letter. They're like my sentimentals, Lord knows, in over 20 years. But it's always stuck with me, I guess because it really hit home. Because I get so on my tasks, get this done, get this done. Oh, I'm doing good. Look, it's, 2 hours before he gets home, and I've already got this and this done. I start to run an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Let's see. She says, moms, we need to be reminded of the awesome responsibility that God has given us. When we respond to the high calling of motherhood with passion, the rewards are far greater than any we could ever gain outside of that calling. The joys of motherhood are rare and beautiful treasures that can be easily missed if we don't seize the opportunity to grab them. And then she's talking down here about being a mom is more than, the cook and chauffeur and the maid and all. She says it's about molding character, building confidence, nurturing, training, and guiding. There's nothing like the influence that a mother has on her child. A mother's influence has enormous potential to shape the person a child becomes, for good or for ill. Well, I know that something that my sister had written on a piece of paper, like stuck to her refrigerator one day, was, you are making memories every day, good or bad. Make them good. And I thought about that, and I was like, that's actually pretty profound, because your everydays accumulate into memories.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're either not present, or you're preoccupied, or you put the children off or whatever, that's what they're going to remember. But if you consistently, pour into them and spend time with them and try to help them, shape who they are, then that's the memories you have, I look at my childhood, and I'm glad that's over with. You couldn't pay me to go back home and live the childhood I lived. I mean, absolutely not. My grandmother was my saving grace. I don't ever want my children to feel that, ever. I want them to always look back at their childhood as something that's precious and dear to them. So,
yeah. No, you said that what's it called? You're recording this to put it on YouTube so other people can see it, right?
yeah.
Okay. Is that like going to be totally public, or is there like a way to keep it private so you can just share it with who you want?
I'm not sure. I'll have to check.
Okay. Okay, because there's a couple of things that I want to share, but if it's public to the world,
yeah, I get that. Do you want me to end the recording and then we can finish talking? I'm good with that. I'm going to.
No, I mean, no, it's not. Okay.
Okay, I think. Well, maybe I didn't. Yes, I stopped the recording. I know that you see the recording button.
I see your picture.
Huh?
I see your picture. I don't see you.
Well, hold on. It's not supposed to be recording because I hit. Oh, wait, here it is.